Hi, my name is Carolyn. I'm going to share my presentation on the digital divide. I chose the four countries, Chile, Afghanistan, the Russian Federation, and Oman. I also compared these four countries to the US, as you can see in this graph and a couple of other graphs later on. The first indicator I talked about was the mobile cellular subscriptions. And this data shows me that the Russian Federation, Chile, and Oman increased their amount of cellular subscriptions from before and had enormous growth, especially since it's those subscriptions and that number is above the number of subscriptions from the US. However, Afghanistan is still lagging behind, which shows me that they do not have as many subscriptions and may not have access to cellular technologies or be able to afford them, whereas the Russian Federation, Chile, and Oman have grown their access and affordability of the subscriptions and cellular devices. This is another graph that helps display the data. You can see that Afghanistan has less than half of the number of subscriptions of the other four countries, which really shows the difference in growth that the countries have. I also talked about how individuals use the internet in each country. Now, the US used to be well above all the other countries, but now Chile, Russian Federation, and Oman have increased to about the same as the United States. All four of those countries are in between 80 and 90% range for the amount of people who use the internet. However, Afghanistan is still pretty low and does not show the same growth, especially because it's about 14%. This shows that they do not have as much access to technology, which limits their ability to access things like Google, some social media sites, etc., whereas the other four countries are having a steady increase and giving more of their population the ability to use the internet. Sorry, my computer's just not showing right now. There we go. I also decided to use the access to electricity as an indicator because if you don't have the electricity to plug in a device or charge it, you can't really use that device. So in these graphs, you can see that Afghanistan has grown to eventually have the same amount, almost the same amount of access to electricity as the other four countries, which is great because it shows that if the populations do have the devices, the digital devices that are needed to grow their digital competencies, they are able to power them on and charge them. Now, this data reveals that that the digital divide is shrinking between some countries, but not all of the countries. There's still a large gap between some of the countries, like you can see, United States had 87% of the population using the internet, while Afghanistan had 14%. That's a 73% gap, which is ginormous in my opinion. While Afghanistan did have some growth, it did not have the same steady growth as the other countries. This is why I would create a Facebook group for Afghanistan to help spread awareness, reach global audiences. I did only address one country, but it could eventually spread to other countries. I think focusing on one country will really pinpoint the issue and help go step by step because it's a large process to bridge the divide. Now, the steps I would do is creating a Facebook group. I would recruit members for the group by asking friends to join the group and posting the group on social media. In the group, I would post pictures, information, articles, and graphs so that people can become more informed about the issues, as well as ask group members to share this information on their own pages so that non-members can access this information and hopefully join our group, which would help us have a larger audience. I would hashtag bridge the divide on each post so that this hopefully becomes viral and probably spread the awareness that we're trying to bridge the digital divide. Next, I would start a group GoFundMe so that I could use this money to give to nonprofits who are helping people in Afghanistan gain access to digital technologies, knowledge, and the internet. And then like I said before, I would spread the campaign to Middle Eastern countries by starting to post information about other Middle Eastern countries because I think it's a regional problem. Now in the campaign, I would include things like the graphs, the hashtag, some campaigns that they have, which like getting Twitter without internet. This is a sign in Afghanistan because they don't have a lot of access to internet. And then an article about the issues affecting internet use. There would be articles similar to this. You should join the group because it helps improve everyone's access to online technologies. There's a large difference between Afghanistan's data and the US data, as we talked about before, and we really need to have people help bridge this divide so that the digital divide can be shrinking for all countries and not just the few countries that it is doing right now, because the gap is still too wide for countries like Afghanistan, where 14% of the population has access to internet, while 87% of the US has access to the internet.